Alright, good. So my topic is actually about my grandma. So in the past few years, many superhero movies have come out, such as Iron Man, The Avengers, and Guardians of the Galaxy. However, unlike these fictional movies, I have a real life superhero in my life. That is my grandmother, Chang-Su-Ben. She came from South Korea during a time when there was a famine, and so they were basically like a third world country. She decided that this was not the life she wanted to have for her 3 children she had at the time and her husband. So she saved up her money and she decided to move to America. She came to this country not knowing the language, with 3 kids and not a lot of money to spend. My grandmother taught me that hard work is one of the keys to success, and she sparked my interest in both cooking and language. Now you might ask why this pertains, what this has to do with you guys, but rest assured, if you were to meet this person, you would want to be with her and know her more. Let's start by how my grandmother taught me why I should work hard at what I do. My grandma was an immigrant, like I said. She arrived at Hawaii, where she worked 2 jobs to support her family. She started out as a dishwasher and a line cook, and as she progressed, the other job also turned into a line cook. She eventually saved up enough money to move from Hawaii, because Hawaii is really expensive to live in, because everything has to be imported, jacks up the prices. So she eventually moved to New York, which isn't much better, but it's cheaper, where she eventually had her daughter meet my dad, and so her other child also met their husbands there. And then from there, her life was a lot easier because she didn't have to take care of anybody else. She religiously walks every day for about 2 miles. I don't know about you guys, but I don't walk 2 miles every day. She actually still works at the age of 78. She works 50 hours a week with my mom because she loves sewing still. So she does all the sewing at my mom's store. Now let's talk about what my grandmother is my Gordon Ramsay. Not the TV show, the YouTube one where he's nice. Now my grandmother always cooked my meals alongside my mom. She was the seasoning, and then my mom was like the line cook, where she would chop everything and make sure everything was ready. Eventually, during my teenager years, I started helping out. I would be the person that would sit there, strain all the vegetables, make sure everything was dry for when we made one of our traditional meals, which would be mandu, which is like a dumpling. It has like vegetables, meats, and then it has like a whole bunch of other stuff, and you can boil them, fry them, do a lot of stuff with them. So it would make huge batches of them that would last us for like a couple of months. So I'd be there being the human strainer, she would call me. Just making sure everything was nice and dry. So also, Korean food, very healthy for you. It's a lot of fermented stuff, so there's a lot of probiotics. So it's a little funky. Also, due to the fact that we always cooked, I rarely go out to eat, so that saves you a ton of money. And whenever we did go out, we'd eventually just concoct that meal and make it ourselves. So we ended up just never going back to that restaurant. Next, let me talk to you about how my grandma taught me to love to learn a new language. My grandma had difficulty learning a new language, and when she came over here, she still has a little bit of a broken English, but it's enough for you to understand. She's not the... So, growing up with her, I couldn't really talk to her because she only had broken English at the time. I didn't know much of what she was saying, so I decided I wanted to learn her language so that we could communicate. And so eventually, throughout the years, through many Korean classes on the weekends, learning the like the physical language as well as the verbal, I developed and learned how to speak Korean. There's actually two forms of Korean. One's the northern, which is like a proper, and then the southern is more of a country style. I actually developed the country style because that's where my grandmother came from. So when I went to visit Korea, they called me and said, "Oh, why do you have a southern accent? You speak like you're from the South." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's how my grandmother taught me." And I was like, wow. I never knew until I went there that there was two different languages. I always thought this is how you talk, and that's it. So by learning this language, I decided I like languages. They're interesting. It's like solving a puzzle, connecting the dots, and learning how one translates into the other. So I eventually, when I was in school, I decided to learn from my other heritage, which is German. So I decided to take German. I took that all the way up to honor level. So I basically was like, that's enough for me. It's enough to know that I can go there and be pretty confident to know where to go to the bathroom at, how to order food, and how to take trains and stuff. So another fun fact would be that in Korean, you add yo to the end of every single sentence when you're talking to an elder. That's basically like a sign of respect. No matter what, it's always yo. If you say that to your Korean grandfather, oof, without doing that, oof, you're going to get slapped. In conclusion, my grandmother taught me to work hard at everything you do. For cooking was what sparked my interest, and that's why I cook. I've cooked about 6 different Korean dishes now, all of which I think came out pretty good. She says differently, but she taught me to overcome language barriers, and learning a new language can be easier than what you might think. To tie it all together, my grandmother, Chang-Soo Bae, is my hero, and I'll leave you with a quote. Heroes are ordinary people who make themselves extraordinary, by Gerald Way.